Hey guys, it's your boy Diadomo here, and we're gonna be going over zoned support and resistance. I know you guys seen the last video about support and resistance, but this is gonna be a more advanced version. So this guy should be showing you a better way to mark your support and resistance. So you know how you had your support and resistance video from last time. Now we have this video. And this video is going to tell you show you a better way that could help you identify support and resistances that may be held a little bit stronger, and it's easier to trade off of because that line support and resistance that I taught you is a little iffy, because when trying to get like entries, when you try to get an entry, it's kind of hard because it might not be right there at that point. But for zone support and resistance, let's zoom in. This is on ES1, which is the futures version of S&P 500. And as we can see right here, this area right here looks like a good area of support and resistance, right? So what we could do is, if you go onto TradingView, which is what I'm using, you can get a rectangle tool and you can just mark the rectangle. So right here we have a wick and then we have another wick, right? And you see how we have these like a lot more wicks in this area. This is a good area that could be support or resistance depending on the area. So I'm gonna mark it right now. I like to mark it right at the top of a wick, and then I'm just gonna mark it at the bottom of the candle. This is what I like to do. I like to mark it from the wick. I like to mark the wicks a lot more, and it will vary depending on how I'm seeing rejections and stuff. So like if I just looked at it right there, I'd mark that. But what I could do is I can take it down to the bottom of those wicks so that we have a little bit better area of rejection. So now if it comes in, if any candles do come in that area, we could see more rejections, right? So we'll just take it and move it out, right? So let me just highlight this outside. Let's make it yellow, I guess. So now let's zoom in. So what we see is wicks are coming into this area, and they're candles coming to this area. And now they're all showing a bunch of wicks, which is showing good rejection at this area. It so happens that it does end up getting broken through at one point, but that's okay. That happens, right? So now we come into this area and we show rejection here. And then we come back in, showing a rejection, come back in once again and show another rejection before having a big drop down. So whenever we came and retested this zone, so now we could have actually marked this zone as a potential support and or resistance. So now when we came in and retested over here, we did end up coming up. As it got closer, we're starting to see some rejections. It came in, it touched, and what happened? It rejected. So you could have made some good money. This could have been an entry, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna short it with my stop loss being above that support and resistance. So the only bad part about it is you might have a bigger stop loss compared to the line support and resistance. But this should give you better entries and or more entries. Now that could be good or bad because you don't want to overtrade. So overtrading is when you place too many trades, and that actually can cause you to lose. So I'd be cautious when it comes to what you're getting into. If it looks like there's a lot of rejections in this area, then I'd look for a short, where I'd bet it going down to the downside because I'm seeing so much rejections in this area. And I would reject, then I would place my trade, and you can just say like, oh, I'm shorting, stop loss can be above that. I'm gonna go for a 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio. This you could have made money on. That's an easy 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio. You would have been risking about 5 points to make 10. Right, so that could have, yes is what, 50 bucks, so you could have made about 500 on that. Depends on how many contracts you get. You can make a decent amount of money on those plays. But that's just one area, right? So now we're seeing this is an area of resistance because we are seeing rejections in this area. So what happened though is here, right here, we saw it just break straight through that zone, right? Now, since we aren't seeing good rejections in this area, considering it just went straight through it, we shouldn't have seen an entry there. If you did end up trying to put an entry there, you were front running it. Now, I can't say exactly what happened during this time. I wasn't, I don't remember that exact specific time, but it broke through. So we're waiting for it to come back and retest to see if this is a potential support. And as it does, it comes in and it rejects. Could have found our entry in here. Like, let's say we decided to go for a 2-to-1. We put it right underneath our stop loss, going for a 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio, and that would have hit 2, and you could have made good money again here. Now, with this, it does give you a varied stop loss. So if you want to do a fixed stop loss where you're risking the same amount of money every time, you would have to work around it with your entries. This is going to give you a varied stop loss, which means right now you'd be risking about 7 points to make 14. So in order to get that 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio, you would have to end up risking more, and you would end up getting more. But it does vary, and that's sometimes a deal breaker for some people. But if you're okay with having a varied stop loss where you would end up risking, let's say, 200 bucks in one trade, 300 the other trade, 100 the other trade, it's completely up to you if you're okay with that. If you want to trade with a fixed stop loss, you might have to find another workaround with entries. You could still do it with this strategy, but you'd have to know exactly where you want to enter, and you are going to be missing out on some entries. But it's possible. If you're more interested in that, leave a comment down in the description below, down in the comment section below, and I'll get back to you on that. I can make another video talking about that. But as you can see, it did end up rejecting. You could have made money on that, and we came back down into this area again, and it's showing good rejections again. You could have made money on that again with entering in on this. Could have watched it, could have tried getting an entry on here. Probably would have made money on this one as well. But sometimes you got to be iffy with your trades. We are seeing a lot more tests, so I would be slowing down with getting entries, right? Since we are seeing a lot more price action start to come in here. So I'd been a little iffy. I probably wouldn't have traded this one because, like I said, it was just a lot more downhill. Like we are in a downtrend here, so I would have looked to waiting for us to break that entry, or to break through that support and resistance, right? Oops, let me put that back. So we ended up breaking through, and we ended up retesting it for another short. And this, these shorts could be playing out really well if you know how to do a trailing stop, or just moving your stop loss, and you don't have to have a certain take profit. Now that does mean that you will miss out on some profit to a certain extent. It will vary as well. You could go for a 2-to-1 and hit that, and that could be a peak of where that price action goes, or you could do a stop, like a moving stop loss, where you just move your stop loss up slowly, and it can end up causing you to make more money. Or the other way around, you can end up losing some money because you're never going to be able to catch the peak with that one. And to be honest, catching the peak's not all that. If you don't plan on catching that peak, like you don't know exactly where you estimate that peak's gonna be, then you can't be greedy for your exits. So that is another way. Let me know what you want in your next video, and we will get with that. As far as the support and resistance zone video goes, I hope you learn how to do a zoned support and resistance. Have a great rest of your day.